My family called me bad luck. Then Aunt Clara read her will. Growing up, I wasn't a son. I was a scapegoat with a bedtime. If Dad missed a green light, it was because I breathed too loud in the back seat. If Mom burned the Sunday roast, somehow my existence had thrown off her oven timer. They didn't just think I had bad luck. They treated me like a walking curse they'd been cursed to raise. Meanwhile, my sister Chloe was the sun, the moon, and every star in between. When I worked diner shifts until midnight to scrape together partial scholarships for community college, Mom smiled and said, "Character building is good for you." When Chloe wanted a semester in Florence, my parents nearly gutted their retirement account for her apartment, her tuition, her weekend trips to Venice. They called it an investment. I called it my exit sign, so I left. Chicago felt like walking out of a decade-long thunderstorm into actual daylight. Nobody blamed me when a pipe burst. Nobody flinched when I dropped a mug. I put my head down, worked my way up in marketing, and eventually built my own boutique agency from nothing. It wasn't glamorous. It was mine. And here's the kicker. The day I stopped being their scapegoat, their luck didn't get better. It collapsed. Dad's company downsized. Mom's boutique folded. Chloe buried herself in credit card debt, chasing an influencer lifestyle in LA. Every phone call after that wasn't, "How are you?" It was a complaint marathon about how unfair the universe had suddenly become to everyone but me. Then, Aunt Clara died. Clara was Dad's older sister, the family's official black sheep, and the only person who ever slipped me $20 and told me I was doing just fine. None of us expected anything from her estate. Chloe was already on her phone at the reading, mentally renovating a kitchen with money that wasn't hers yet. The attorney, a calm, unhurried man named Miller, skipped the legal jargon and pulled out a handwritten letter instead. Clara had written about watching one nephew take the blame for every spilled glass and broken appliance in that house for 20 years. She'd written about who showed up just to sit with her and who only called when they needed something. Then the number came. Clara's entire commercial real estate portfolio, just under $900,000, left entirely to me. My parents and Chloe got a vintage porcelain tea set and a letter that politely suggested they learn to stand on their own 2 feet. The room went dead silent. Dad actually laughed. Sure, it was a joke. When Miller slid the certified paperwork across the table, Mom's face went white, then red. Then she pointed a shaking finger at me. "You brainwashed her." Miller didn't even look up. "There's zero evidence of that. This will was filed 10 years ago." By 7 the next morning, my phone was already buzzing. Dad wanted to talk about family loyalty. Mom reminded me blood is thicker than water. Chloe sent a crying selfie next to a screenshot of her overdue electric bill. I listened to every voicemail, stared at the ceiling, and realized something freeing. I didn't owe any of them a cent of emotional collateral. So instead of cutting checks to people who'd spent my childhood treating me like a hazard sign, I called Miller back. Together, we set up a scholarship fund in Clara's name. Full ride grants for first-generation students paying their own way through school, no strings attached. When the local news covered the launch, Dad called one more time, furious. "You gave our family's money to strangers." I took a slow sip of coffee, looked out at the skyline from my own office, and said, "No, I invested in people who actually know how to build something." Then I hung up. It's been 3 years. My business is thriving. The fund has already helped dozens of kids who remind me of myself at 19, tired and stubborn and broke. Nobody in my family talks about bad luck anymore. Turns out, once you leave the storm, you find out you were never the weather. You just make your own now.